I got it piled up on books, paper.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my
Perfect.
Lord. I'm like, this is
I didn't get an
ridiculous.
email about Shabbat this week.
Hello.
Hello.
Shabbat shalom.
Hey, hey, Lou. How are you?
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Hey, Lou. Good to see everyone.
Hi, Linda. Oh, my God. Greetings from Vermont, where it's 10 degrees.
Ah,
You better grow some hair then.
Vermont, yeah. AM 10.
COVID cases. Positivity rates, though, still remain high. In New York, 5%. Connecticut, close to 7%. New Jersey, highest positivity rate in the tri-state, just over 10%.
Meanwhile, New York Mayor de Blasio today reversed a controversial and rather confusing yesterday, telling restaurants that outdoor.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. I'm sorry I had to mute everyone, but we're going to get started, and I'm going to invite Linda Gesford to light our Shabbat candles for us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you so much, Linda. We're now going to turn together to page 128. Turn to page 130. Lechu neranena l'Adonai nariya l'tzorishenu nekan mafanav betonav mizmirot nariyago Now we'll turn to page 131. Shiru Hadash. Shiru Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai, Shir Hadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai, Shir Hadash. Now we'll turn to page 132. Or zaru ala tzadim, uleishelev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadim, uleishelev simcha. Simchut tzadikim Adonai, le'odu lesecher kodsho. Simchut tzadikim Adonai, le'odu lesecher kodsho. Now I'll turn to page 134. Damru Adonai bechinor, bechinor b'kol simcha. 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 We'll now turn to page 135, the bottom paragraph. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu lehishtachatu behar kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu lehishtachatu behar kosho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu lehishtachatu behar kosho. Now turn to page 138 for the Lechadodi. Lechadodi likat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabela. We'll now turn to page 140. מזמור שיר ליום השבת. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך היום, ולזמר לשמך היום. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך היום, ולזמר לשמך היום. להגיד בבוקר חסך, לאמונתך Turn to page 144. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ילמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם על מעלמיה, יתברך יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויינשא, ויתהלל ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירה מעלמה, ואמרו Amen. We'll turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Listening to my prayer. Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai, Baruch Adonai, le'olam We'll turn to page 148 and read together in the English at the bottom. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uben laila, Adonai Tzevaot shemo, El Chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamarim haravim. Turn to page 150. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemaneta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochenu u'b'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nisnach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, be'orech yameinu, uvahem negeh yomam balayla, me'avtecha, al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha, ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha, ve'shinantam לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשופך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אליכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We'll join together on page 158. Turn to page 160. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkileinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkileinu, Leshalom. Le'amidenu, Shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu, Sukkot shlomecha. Hashkileinu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkileinu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. We'll now turn to page 162. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולדורם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולדורם. Israel אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבר וינפש שבר וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We'll now turn to page 164 for our silent Amidah. We'll begin together by singing together Adonai Tzivatai, and then I will invite you all to continue silently, and then we will come together again with singing Yehiyu L'Ratzon. Adonai Tzivatai Tiftach Ufi Agi Tilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock, and my redeemer.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Our hearts and minds now turn to those who are in need of healing of the mind, of the body, and of the spirit. And as I read out the names that our community is thinking of tonight, if you have someone that you would like to add, please feel free to add them in the chat. Robert Posner, Joyce Weinberg, Rick Gold, Stu Pollock, Jane London, Phyllis Silver, Catherine Gruino, Amuna Chava, Sandra Furman, Morty Lynn, Raina Walsh, Deidre Klein, Stephanie Skitt, Nancy DeMatte, Jean Bensadone, Gloria Teradosh, Judy Stern, Miriam Cornfield, Roz Brody, Hannah Ruth Batsara, Marilee Silverberg, Louis Davidson, Susan Spruce, Fagel Tzipora Bat Elisheva Batsara, Richard Gambino, Michelle Sawicki, Adel Basha Bat Yitzchak, Zvi Menachem Ben Chaim, Rivka Bat Devora, Amy and Gavin Tucker, Janice Kurz, David Dowling, Neil Rosen, Eileen Rosen, Elliot Rosen, Israel Ben Yitzchak, Ben Sion Ben Moshe, Lorraine Danis, Buddy Kossoff, Shelley Newmark, David Kyle Klopman, Rivka Bat Rachel, Sarah Bat Chana, Moshe Eliezer Ben Sivia, Peretz Ben Yehuda, and Leah Bat Naomi.
Before Now, in a moment, I'm going to invite up a very dear friend of mine, Max Antman, to deliver our Devar Torah this evening. He is a fellow HUC student, a second year on the LA campus, and he is currently serving as the rabbinical intern at Congregation Sukkot Shalom in Juneau, Alaska.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me into your community tonight. I'm happy to be speaking with you. When I was a freshman in high school, I had an English teacher named Mr. Stevenson. It's curious that I remember Mr. Stevenson so vividly because he was not a teacher that I was particularly fond of. He actually gave me an F on my midterm assignment because I didn't properly cite the Google image I had used on my cover page. And despite the fact that my GPA never fully recovered from this lesson in academic integrity, that is not the reason that I remember Mr. Stevenson. Rather, it is because of something he said on the very first day of class, the first day of high school. He told us that every human being at some point in their life will wear a mask, a shield, to partially or completely conceal their truest self from those around them. And that this mask should only be removed when a person feels truly safe and ready. It isn't about hiding, he said. It's about protecting what is most valuable in this world. You. For a teenager struggling to find his bearings in a new environment, wrestling with his identity and place in the world, these words were extremely powerful because they removed the shame I had placed around my own self-preservation, erased the notion that I should be an open book for my peers to read at their leisure. This language gave me permission to protect myself while I figured it all out. It gave me control over my story, my life. The mask was a tool, and now I had the agency with which to wield it. You'll recall that in last week's Parsha, Joseph, the favored son of Israel, is thrown into a pit and sold into slavery by his brothers, all of whom are jealous of his ability to decipher dreams and his status within the family of Jacob. This week, in Parshat Miketz, Joseph has found favor with his captors, the Egyptians, as he uses his ability to decipher Pharaoh's dreams. Joseph explains that the dreams of Pharaoh forecast 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine, and that arrangements must be made in the former to survive the latter. Pharaoh believes this interpretation and puts Joseph in charge of efforts to prepare for the latter years. Joseph organizes a plan by which extra grain will be stored during the years of abundance, so that during the years of famine it can be sold to the people of the surrounding lands. He is given a new name by Pharaoh, Zapanath Paneah, which is Egyptian for God speaks, marries an Egyptian woman, and fathers 2 Egyptian children. And when the years of famine come, Joseph is prepared to sell grain to all those traveling from far and wide, including, as he soon comes to realize, the very men who sold him into slavery in the first place, his brothers. We are told that when Joseph sees his brothers, he recognizes them, but yitnaker alehem, he distinguishes himself to them. Rashi, a medieval biblical commentator, tells us that the word yitnaker is derived from the word nakri, meaning stranger or alien, implying that Joseph makes a deliberate effort to appear as a stranger to his brothers. Seforno, another biblical commentator, explains that Joseph may even adopt a manner uncharacteristic of himself by speaking arrogantly in Egyptian, a language his brothers do not understand, or altering his true voice so as to remain anonymous to them. But what Joseph does or does not do to conceal himself from his brothers isn't really the point. In fact, we could argue that Joseph has been masking his identity for quite some time. When he stayed within the Egyptian community after being freed from slavery, when he received an Egyptian name from Pharaoh, married an Egyptian woman, and fathered Egyptian children. This is the culmination of many years of living in disguise, of wearing the mask. And in this moment, Joseph decides to keep it on. perhaps to hide his traumatic past, one filled with deceit and abandonment, maybe to avoid returning to a family that has rejected him and risk being hurt again, or simply because in this moment, he does not feel safe and ready to reveal his true self. The word masking can be defined as the process by which an individual changes or masks their natural personality to conform to social pressures, abuse, or harassment. In our society today, we may use different words to describe this phenomenon. Passing, code switching, assimilating. But these words all essentially mean the same thing: concealing our truest selves in order to protect against the possibility of backlash or pain. The term masking has also taken on new meaning during the COVID-19 pandemic, as masks are used to physically protect us from harm, shielding us from contracting and passing on a deadly virus. I saw a photo on Facebook the other day of a protest in Michigan in which a young woman held up a sign that read, "Masks disempower and weaken us." And I found this to be extremely interesting because in my view, masks actually have the opposite effect. They empower us to take control over the narrative of our lives and give us the strength to prioritize our own protection. Masks are not a weakness, but a strength, an asset, a secret weapon. Now, it's important to note that depending on the situation, wearing a mask can be quite difficult. To conceal a piece of ourselves, our identities, even for the purpose of self-preservation, can exhaust our bodies and strain our minds. For some in our community, wearing a physical mask has a similar effect, making us feel restrained and uncomfortable. But it is this very challenge that empowers us to work towards a day when we may feel safe enough to lower that barrier, removing the mask completely. As Joseph does in next week's Parsha, through reconciling with his family, as I did in my teenage years, after much self-reflection and with the help of a supportive community, and as we all will do, God willing, at the end of this pandemic. Mr. Stevenson single-handedly ruined my chances of achieving a 4.0 GPA, and I may never forgive him for that. But he also gave me the tools to protect myself, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, to use the mask to my benefit, and never feel ashamed for prioritizing my own safety and security. Each of us has this tool in our arsenal, both physically and metaphorically. And in this moment of great sickness, isolation, and pain within our society, I would encourage us to remember Mr. Stevenson's words. It's not about hiding. It's about protecting what is most valuable in this world. You. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Max, for those very beautiful words. I'm going to now invite up our president, Ron Klausner, to deliver our announcements. Hold on one second, Ron. We're trying to figure out how to unmute you. Okay, you can try now. You have to press the unmute button.
Okay, I think we're good. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Lauren and Aaron, and also a special thanks to Max. Max, I hope you're in LA, not in Juneau, because if it's cold up here in Vermont, it must be really, really cold up in Alaska. Weekly announcements. Tomorrow morning, Shabbat service will be live streamed at 10 a.m. Please feel to join us on the website, YouTube, or our Facebook page. You can always watch past versions on YouTube, and you can also watch tomorrow's service later on YouTube as well, and on our webpage. Feel free after services to join us for Torah study at noon. Book club with Ruth Joseph is Sunday at 11 a.m. Hebrew school is Monday at 4. And the Social Justice Committee is having a holiday party at 6 p.m., not its regular phone meeting at 5. So that's 6 p.m. Also, we will be having a virtual tour of the Museum of the Jewish People in Tel Aviv. Of course, we're not going to Tel Aviv, but we'll do it on Zoom, on synagogues past and present, following Sunday, December 27th at 4 p.m. And a heads up for some noteworthy programming coming in January. We'll have discussion groups to art workshops and museum tours to concerts. We look forward to a new year of engaging and meaningful programming. Please check our weekly e-blast for details and registration links. If you're not getting our emails, please feel free to contact Eileen at our temple office and she'll put you on immediately. We welcome you to join us after services for our virtual Oneg Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Ron. We're going to turn to page 586 for the Oneg. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue on the bottom of page 590. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
As we move into the end of our service and the Mourner's Kaddish, I will be reading a poem that's on the bottom of page 593 if you'd like to follow along. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled. It burns. It glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades. Its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see. In light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as the night follows day, the candles of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more, and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. Our community tonight remembers Miles Ambrose, Nancy Fisher, Saul Fisher, Edwin Friedman, Sandra Friedman, Lucy Gladstone, Louis Herr, Philip Idone, Phyllis Katz, Laura Kurz, Madge Judith Parcher, Steve Popkin, Vera Shaps, Norma Small, Madry Weinberg Berman, Ann Weiss, Marvin Weiss, Harry Abderkin, Augusta F. Axelrod, Annie Bookstaver, Iago Goldstone, Aaron Gastworth, Bessie Goldberg, Arthur Kaplan, Mary Kirshner, Janet F. Leonard, Leah Levine, Michael London, Richard Peake, Morris Peskowitz, Lillian Ronick, Stephen Schenkel, Lisa Schneidman, Melvin Ciro, Abraham Abba Weinstein, Pearl Weinstein, Ralph Weinstein, Erwin Weitzman, and Rose Zuckerman. If there are others that you are remembering tonight and would like to put their names in the chat, I invite you to do so now.
We continue together on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash me'rabah.
Amen.
Yalmad yivrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh. V'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agalau v'zman kari v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'ameh almaya
Yibarach.
Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kedusha.
Brichu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'dechemata. Tamiran ve'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
And we'll sing together the ending words. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. If you have a glass of wine, I'll invite you to join with me on page 123. And I promise I practiced this time for you guys. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu zicharo l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrahei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'yavtanu kidasha mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone.